In this nugget, we take a look at PowerShell for Windows deployment services, specifically relating to driver packages and groups. Now, there are several new commandlets for Windows 8.1 and Server 2012 R2. We don't look at all of them, only the ones relating to our current topic here. However, I will point you to the web page that catalogs all of those for you. Okay, so this will actually go pretty quick, because what I want to show you is just some key PowerShell commandlets related to Windows deployment services and to driver packages. And you can kind of tell by the commandlets themselves that they're all relating to just that. Also, I want to point out to you that there is an article that's referenced right down here, actually a knowledge-based article, that shows you all of these commandlets and more. And these are new with Windows 8.1 and Windows Server 2012 R2. And here's the page that link points us to right here. And so you can see there's a lot of different ones. They don't all relate to our current topic of driver packages and stuff like that, but there's a lot of different other things there as well. And again, there's the operating system supported. So let's go ahead and take a look at this, and this is going to be real short. I'm just going to go ahead and go through each one of these, and we'll identify them and then compare them to what appears in the UI here for Windows deployment services. And you can see here I've kind of cleared things out and gone to a very basic and fundamental installation. I only have out of the box Server 2012, Windows 8.1, and then just a single boot image here, which is real simple. You can see I don't have any packages right now, and there's nothing in my controllers group right here. And then this is the driver group 1, which is just the default that you'll see when you actually install WDS. So let's go ahead and get into action here and kick off one of these commandlets. Here I'm just going to import a WDS driver package. I'm pointing it to my W drive where I've created a folder called drivers, and it's a 64-bit driver, as you can see there by the folder name. And then it's just this mvno drv.inf. I don't even know what this goes to, actually. Again, this is just another driver I downloaded from SIG. I think it's an external. I think it's a 4-port SATA controller of some kind. So again, here I'm identifying this is part of the commandlet. One of the options here is the architecture. I'm specifying I only want the 64-bit architectures, which is very useful if you have more than one architecture in the path. The display name, I'm just going to call this 64-bit controller. I don't have to do that. The reason why I'm doing that is because I want it to be a little bit more intuitive for my purposes. But if you just leave this empty and you don't use any display name here, it'll just give it the default name that the manufacturer gives it. And then verbose, just so that we can see kind of what's going on there. Let's go ahead and kick this one off. I'm going to run only that selection where my cursor is currently blinking, and we'll see that we get some results down here. Let's expand this a little bit. What's important about this, first of all, we can see that it ran up here, but what's important about this is it gives you some fundamental details about what's going on, which file it used, the path, and also any of the dependent files involved in installing that driver. And then this right here is what's going to be important as well. This is a unique ID, not only to this driver, really, but to this particular import. So, in other words, I could delete this now if I wanted to, this whole import, and re-import the exact same driver using the exact same commandlet, and this ID would change. So right now I'm going to go ahead and just copy this, and you can see here for several of the other, actually all of the other commandlets, it depends upon a specific ID. So I'm going to go to edit here, and then now I'm going to replace in the script any instance of, bracket, let's see, ID, and then close that, and then I'm going to paste in what I just copied there. Okay, so this right here now should appear in all of these instances there. All right. So now once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and add a WDS driver package. Again, I'm referencing that same idea I just talked about. I'm putting it in the the group name of controllers, and again, it's verbose. You don't have to do verbose. Also, for all of these, there's additional options that you could select. I'm just kind of picking up a sample here, and you can adjust this to your own purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and run this one, and we'll click the little button, and we see that it's now adding that driver package to the group name of controllers. Now if I go over here to WDS, notice that I don't see anything in packages. I can press F5 on the keyboard, nothing happens. This is kind of a weird thing about this particular console. There is no refresh. I have to click on something else and then come back to it, and it'll appear. So I just want to tell you that, because otherwise you could spend a lot of time trying to troubleshoot this, trying to figure out why in the world this never appears. When it's actually there, it's just invisible to you until you go somewhere else. And you can see also that it's in my controllers down here as well. Now, another thing I want to point out is, I don't think I showed you this in the last nugget, but if you double-click on this, like this right here, then we can see some more specific details again about that particular package. If for some reason I realize this is causing problems, maybe it's causing blue screens or some other problem occurred with this particular one, I could disable this. Okay, there's also a function in the UI that allows me to do that. I could go to the drivers here and get some more specific details about those items, including the actual files, which we also saw in the PowerShell command prompt. And then the group membership. Right now, it's the member of controllers, and I added it to the member of controllers by using a PowerShell commandlet, but I could also do it here in the UI by selecting, for example, driver group, which is currently empty, and shoving that over there, clicking OK. Now we should see that it's also part of driver group. Now what else can we do with this? Let's take a look at another commandlet. Here I can add WDS driver package architecture and this particular, again, unique ID for that particular driver, and I can add that into an image. In other words, in this case, my Microsoft Windows setup image that's part of my boot image, and if we go back up here to boot images, you can see that that's what I'm referencing. Okay, so we'll go here again to the commandlet. It's going to there, and we're going to do it verbose, so that's pretty easy. We'll press the little play button here. This will take a little while because it's got to kind of unpack that particular image, but when it's done, we'll come back and take a look. All right, it went ahead and finished it. Probably took about a minute to do this. This doesn't really give us much in the verbose information down here. Really, it's the same kind of information we got when we first installed it in the first place. You can see up here at the top. So there's not really a lot enlightening about that. And one thing that kind of bothers me about this, maybe I just haven't found the right commandlet yet, but if we go back over here to WDS and into our boot image here, I could double-click on this thing, I can look all through it, and there's no way to really identify that I've stuffed some drivers into this thing. So I wish there would be a way that we would know that, because sometimes other administrators will add in drivers that we didn't know about, and then now the systems are blue screening when we try to boot them. That could be causing a problem. So I wish that we could find some way in there, and I didn't see any other commandlets that would allow us to find that information out. But moving right along here, we'll now get a WDS driver package, again by the same identifier, verbose. I'm going to go ahead and click the little play button here. And again, that's just a simple way to get the same information which we've already seen. Now, it looks a little bit redundant here because, after all, I think we've seen this 3 times already. However, you're not going to always run all of these together. This is just a sampling of commandlets. It could be months since we, added our driver packages, and now I want to see if this particular driver package is here, and I want to identify the files that are involved and stuff like that. Then we could disable the driver package. Maybe we have found that it's causing us a problem, so I'm going to disable that thing now. And if I go back over here to WDS and down to all packages, now we see a little red down arrow. And again, if I double click on it, we can see that indeed it is disabled. Same thing would appear in the groups that it appears in, showing that it is indeed disabled. Alright, so now I've figured out that apparently that's not causing a problem. Maybe I don't need to disable it after all. Again, I can use the UI if I want to, or this simple commandlet here. You can see there's not really a whole lot to it. I'll now enable that. And again, going back in here, there's no refresh, so I'll just go to some other location, and now we can see that indeed it is re-enabled. Now, the next thing I might want to do is to remove the WDS driver package. Maybe we don't use it anymore or whatever, and we want to get rid of it. Well, I'll remove it from a specific group. Maybe the group name of controllers, it's not relevant anymore. Here's the ID again. So if I want to remove it again, I'll just enter in that commandlet. And now we'll go back to WDS. I'll see in all packages, the actual driver and the actual package is still here, but the group that I had it appearing in controllers, no longer there. Notice that in the commandlet, I only removed it from controllers. I did not remove it from driver group 1, so it still appears there. However, now if I remove the WDS driver package entirely, okay, and remove the files and everything, like you can see in the commandlet there, when I do that, it is going to have to remove it from everything. And of course, you would expect that, because after all, how can the driver and the packages exist if there are no files involved? And you can see now, when I click on driver group, indeed it's gone. All right, that's pretty much it for this nugget. I do want to point out that the WDS driver packages.ps1 file is available for you up on nuggetlab.com. All you'll have to do is to replace the unique IDs there with your own. And again, don't forget about this link, which takes you here. Also, I haven't used all of the parameters because we didn't need them all, but if you want to look at some additional parameters, you can click on one of these commands over on the left, for example, add WDS driver package, and you can see additional parameters that would be available for you there. Well, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.